Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's been a fairly quiet week, I suppose, overall, but a little bit green, which is nice. Up about 5%, 12 grand, and yeah, it's mainly the big coins. As you can see, the Solana ecosystem not faring too well. Looking at the CoinShares report for the week before this week, it was red as expected, 454 million outflows amid the potential rate cut now not happening at the end of, or not this coming week, I think it's the week after. I don't think we were expecting a rate cut sort of really, but now that has put stone dead. Looking at the individual coins, so 404 million out of Bitcoin, 116 out of Ethereum, another 21 million out of the multi-asset nearly, but still inflows into XRP and Solana. I think Solana got an outflow last week's report, but 45 and 32 million into XRP and Solana, which is pretty good. Flat for Litecoin. 7.6 million into Sui is quite a lot considering their small assets under management. And similarly, 3 million into Chainlink is pretty good. 9.2 million coming out of shorting Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin's up this week, so yeah, people are sort of taking off some shorts. And 7.2 million into other random coins. I think we're starting getting some more ETFs, even US ETFs. I think I saw a Chainlink US ETF, so that's pretty good. I can't remember if they've got an XRP one yet, so yeah, it would seem weird for Chainlink to come before XRP. They've expanded their countries, it looks like. Germany, sort of 58 million, Canada 24 million, but yeah, there's a few sort of extras that I don't recall seeing before. Netherlands, Luxembourg, New Zealand, and people like that. So yeah, not a huge amount of significance by country. And looking at this week, we have seen a bit of a tick up. We're going to get a green CoinShares report tomorrow afternoon. It was sort of a little bit of a mixed bag. You've had some outflows out of BlackRock at the start of the week, and some outflows out of Fidelity towards the end of the week. And sort of a mixed bag in the old grayscale, which is kind of expected. But yeah, on a net basis, that gave a slightly positive day on Monday. Two very, very strong days with gains almost everywhere. Well, yeah, almost everywhere for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then a small gain Thursday. BlackRock and Fidelity sort of, trading blows. And yeah, Friday, BlackRock had a small amount in, everywhere else pretty much negative. So yeah, 400 million out, but yeah, on a net basis, that's a pretty good week, you'd have to say. And Ethereum was also fairly strong, didn't actually get a negative day at all, even on Friday. Friday was only some coming out of the old grayscale, although they did have like, 86 million go in at the beginning of the week, only 10 million out on Friday, so still sort of day trading, I guess, or hedging or something they're doing with that, because it's 2.5% fee. But yeah, gave all 5 days being positive, with Monday and Friday just being very, very small. So yeah, Ethereum looking good. And a fairly good week for Solana, with overall a decent inflow, although did have a first net red day on the whole, the whole total. I think we had one red day for 21 shares before, but that was made up by inflows elsewhere. Haven't had that this time, so yeah, 2.2 million outflow, which is nothing really, every day. The rest of the week eclipsed that outflow. 8.9 million in, 23.6 million in, so it's 10 times that outflow. So yeah, you got to expect this at some point, but Solana looking pretty good. Looking at the treasury companies, then we're getting a little bit less ambiguity sometimes from Michael Saylor now. He tweeted "Big Orange," so that's almost certainly a Bitcoin buy, where before you'd sort of been a little bit vague sometimes, and people were sort of reporting, that they'd bought when these tweets come out, and it was actually that they held because they saw his tweet as a little bit cryptic. So yeah, they then came out on Monday and said they'd bought 13,627 Bitcoin for 1.25 billion. So that's two large buys in a row. Pretty strong at 91,519. So they're up on that already, and they now hold 687,410. They've increased their average slightly, 75,353, but nothing too much. We're sort of 20,000 above that now, and they'll be relatively happy, I suppose. And he's sort of tweeting furiously at the moment. Lots of AI pictures of nonsense, him playing chess with a bear. And yeah, he's sort of tweeting some of the other smaller treasury companies, 200 Bitcoin purchase. Not sure if Metaplanet are doing anything just yet. And yeah, the preferred shares sort of had been trading at a discount, and he'd been sort of talking about those a lot. And it looks like a few of those and even other companies sort of seem to be coming back to par. So I presume that means that they can issue a bit more in preferred shares if there's demand for those, and could mean more Bitcoin buys. So we'll see. Getting a lot of chat about reserves, the US sort of strategic reserve, but it's also at the state level. We sort of mentioned before, Texas, New Hampshire, and other states were sort of putting legislation in place to say that they could buy Bitcoin. It looks like they haven't sort of gone through just yet. You've still got Arizona, Massachusetts, Ohio, and South Dakota, all at various stages. And Texas, it seems, is the only one that has taken the leap so far. Sort of scrolling down, Texas have bought $5 million worth of IBIT, it was looking like. Yeah, they sort of put a $10 million figure aside to potentially buy, and they bought $5 million worth of IBIT. So not buying crypto itself, but that's fine. Them buying IBIT is just as good, I would say, for a large public institution. And yeah, it's obviously a very, very small amount of their total assets. You wouldn't expect it to be a big amount, but there's sort of talk that some of this, both buying and the legislation is kind of political with the midterms coming up. You've got strong sort of Republican states doing this, hoping to get a bit of money in from crypto advocates in these states, as they're saying. They can buy $5 million worth of Bitcoin and sort of make a huge public song and dance about it, and they might get more than 5 million in funding potentially from from crypto friendly companies and people. So could be even seen as a net gain buying Bitcoin. So we get this every now and then, sort of unrest in countries and the populace turning to Bitcoin. You sort of remember this kind of started in Cyprus when they sort of had a bank bail-in, I think they call it, where they sort of take a portion of citizens' funds, and people were sort of quickly withdrawing everything they could and putting some of that money into Bitcoin, sort of seen as a way to get out of the local currency. And you've sort of got a similar thing going on here. Iran sort of having protests, and the sort of unrest in general caused the currency to drop, sort of a bit of a spike low, obviously a wick low, but it went to sort of nearly zero, I think, and came back fairly quickly, but that's not good. And yeah, people are sort of using this volatility as an opportunity to put some into Bitcoin for sort of seems crazy, but relative stability compared to your own currency. So yeah, interesting that sort of you're getting this more and more in various countries. Yeah, Chainalysis have noted, they released a report noting the same has been happening in Ukraine, Russia, Argentina, and Venezuela. Well, maybe not in Russia. I don't think their currency has been doing all that bad, actually. But, I think it is surprisingly big in Russia anyway. And yeah, certainly Argentina and Venezuela have obviously had their currencies rather hammered. So yeah, you're getting quite a bit of adoption in there as a sort of store of value compared to their own currency in places where it might be a little bit difficult to buy physical gold. That sort of you're only really allowed to do that if the government are sort of happy with it. So yeah, if you've got the internet, pretty much you can buy Bitcoin. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. And obviously, Mr. Peter Schiff takes the opportunity to weigh in and say, well, if the Iranians want to use crypto, then why not go for a crypto backed by gold rather than Bitcoin? Sort of highlighting that these are relatively easy to trade. If you can trade Bitcoin, then often you can trade some of these large ones as well. There's one by Tether and Pax Gold, and obviously with the gold price doing well, these are basically tied to gold. They hold the physical, and so yeah, they're up about 71% in the last year compared to Bitcoin's 4.1% down. So yeah, obviously he takes this opportunity to say the real digital gold is, just a crypto backed by physical gold. I would sort of say that's very similar to how gold certificates started and the whole paper gold industry sort of, eventually ended up getting out of hand. Whether that would happen here, we don't know, but I would say if you want gold, then you would sort of want it in, a little bit more of a sort of legitimate way of holding it, either the physical or sort of a long-standing reputable vault firm. So checking in on Bitcoin hash rate, looks like we've had quite a large spike up over the last day, but otherwise it has been fairly low, sort of certainly under 1 zettahash for quite a while. I saw a headline that it had dropped below 1 zettahash for the first time since a few months ago, and I thought, well, it's been under there quite a long while, but I suppose they're talking about 30-day average or something rather than the live hash rate. But yeah, it's trickled up in over the last day, and what that has done to the difficulty, I don't think it's made too much unless it stays up there for quite a while. You're getting 10.45 minutes. I think this was sort of 10.5 or so yesterday, and that is still sort of estimating a 4.31% drop in difficulty next Thursday, late evening. Again, this was sort of Friday before. Now that hash rate's sort of gone up a little bit, this may come down, and the next adjustment may be sort of 141, 142. But any adjustment down, I would still say is pretty helpful. It's been coming down basically since sort of early November from 155. So potentially Bitcoin price going up and hash rate continuing to come down is amazing for the miners. And of course, global liquidity, I keep sort of showing it on this very, very zoomed out long-term view now. This goes back to sort of almost the beginning of 2019, because the sort of short-term correlation appeared to have largely broken down. I think on a long-term basis, this still looks pretty strong. We just got to accept that we get fairly large divergences from it. as opposed to being very, very tightly correlated. But it would show that you don't get divergences, certainly in the last 6 years for all that long. You sort of got quite a big one here, but, the sort of sharp increase in liquidity was followed quite shortly by a large increase in Bitcoin. This was sort of early 2023 time after the FTX bottom, but yeah, went from 16,000 to 30,000 in 4 months, so that's a double pretty much, with liquidity, global liquidity sort of taking a sharp drop and quickly recovering. So I would say the direction is sort of still somewhat there. You had some points where Bitcoin was over it and it sort of came back again, over it again. But yeah, these sort of large crocodile jaws that have opened up, you would expect, unless this sort of 6 year correlation has pretty much broken, then you would expect this to be recovering somewhat towards it. And sort of all-time high being around here, there's potentially still further to go. And just looking at coins for the week, as I say, it's largely the big coins sort of doing well. Bitcoin up nearly 5%, Solana 4.5, Ethereum nearly 7%, and Chainlink 4%. And then oh yeah, Honey. I need to update, but I think that is quite a bit down. Actually, the worst performer for the week. Let me check on it. Check on it live. We are at, well, just looking at the rest, 4% down for Helium, 12% down for Jito. That's not great. Metaplex 10.3% down, and Radium 6% down. So they're all having a bit of a rough week. And Honey is 0.006615. So yes, 17% down for the week on Honey. So all of the Solana ecosystem getting walloped, even though Solana itself is up. So yeah, at some point, I keep saying, these will probably just be either a tax loss or, bull market comes and these sort of get close to break even again, which will certainly be a poor investment. But I'm still hesitant to sort of, take, what is it, 2,000, not even 2.5 grand out of these and sort of put it into something else. I think there's potential for these altcoins. So who knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and like and subscribe. See you soon.